All right, we will get started. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the November 4th Board of Fire Commissioners regular meeting. Let us begin with the roll call. Ms. Hill.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yep,
President Hudley Hayes, Vice President DeLucich,
present.
Commissioner Babcock, Commissioner Garfield, Commissioner Woods Gray, here. Chief Everett,
Here.
Deputy City Attorney Linda Newman,
Here.
and we have quorum.
Thank you. I will turn it over to the chief for the flag salute.
Please stand, join me. Please stand, join me in a moment of silence in honor of past present members of the Los Angeles Fire Department who devote their lives to the protection of our community. Thank you.
Let's begin with any comments from the commissioners. Commissioner Woods Gray?
Yes, good morning. Welcome
Good
back.
morning. Thank you. It's good to be back.
Good morning, everyone. First, I'd like to start off by offering my condolences to Chief Villanueva and his family. I lost a grandson not long ago, so I truly can sympathize with them. And I want to congratulate those LA Dodgers. Wow, I'm still in my excitement. I can't wait. My T-shirt's in the mail. Literally, it is. I ordered it that night.
Big backup.
And to Chief Jamie Moore, congratulations on your appointment as chief, the next chief. I wish you good luck with the city council, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you very much. I look forward to working with all of you.
Commissioner Garfield, any comments? Okay, thank you, and thank you for that, Commissioner Woods Gray, and I know we all offer our condolences to the chief and our congratulations to our new chief, and we would love to come and support you when you go to city council and to the public safety committee, so Ms. Hill is going to let us know when those dates are set so we can show up and cheer you on.
Thank you.
Do we have any public comment cards?
We have one speaker card, and it is for Guy Tomlinson.
And just want to say for the record that Commissioner Babcock is here, or maybe that's not for me to say, maybe that's for you to say. Okay, okay, come on up, sorry.
Paul Adams, general comment, Paul Adams.
All right, you have 3 minutes.
Good morning. I'm Guy Tomlinson, president of the COA, Chief Officers Association. The men and women of the LAFD work 24/7, 365, all holidays. They don't take a break. In regards to the after action and much of the conversation, our members laid it out in January. Believe it or not, January could have been worse. It also could have been better. In or around 2010, a study was completed and showed we were woefully understaffed, but the city chose to permanently close companies because of the city budget issues that we were experiencing. The potential impacts of the cuts were expressed. That threat was real. Unfortunately to most, the threat is not real until it happens and not understood when mitigated beforehand. 2024, the city was in another budget deficit. Cut or dramatically limit the spending to the departments, including fire. Welcome January 2025. The threat becomes real. Many times memory falls short on how the threat became real. We were in a flash drought, 8 months since the last rain. Grass had become grassoline. We were experiencing hurricane-force winds laced with fire. Those damaging and destructive winds hit citywide. Conflagration was possible anywhere in the nearly 470 square miles of the city, impacting all 4 million people. There is not one council district in the city not impacted by vegetation or its threat. The Palisades fire quickly grew to a 1 to 2 mile front, spreading to the southeast and to the southwest with 1 mile spotting. Public reports have since started from the Palisades fire. In February, a standards of cover report was delivered to the Fire Commission by Battalion Chief Eric Roberts that showed we are 84 stations short according to one international organization, and the department was willing to settle on just getting 62 additional stations. The interim fire chief had a plan to reallocate 3 chief officers to key positions to bolster our fleet and delivery model. Instead, post-Palisades, the city chose to eliminate those positions and 48 additional key firefighter positions and civilian staff. I now refer back to the standards of cover report that was completed well in advance of the January fire siege.
30 seconds.
It stated we needed more fire department resources, but instead we lost 51 positions and unable to fill civilian vacancies. It's a good thing we spent money and valuable time on eliminating the word house out of firehouse and house dues because it is reflective of family, community, and life. Ironically, protecting life is the #1 priority of the LAFD. Back to the threat and lack of memory. The fine dead fuels were lower last week than they were at Palisades. The threat is real every brush season, and welcome to earthquake country.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have no more speaker cards.
Thank you. And now we'll get a report from the chief, sitting in for Chief Villanueva.
Due to circumstances, there will be no report from the current sitting fire chief.
Okay, thank you. In that case, we will go on to, will there be reports, oral reports on significant incidents activities? Yes, there will be. Okay, welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, Vice President Dlugic, Commissioner Woods Gray, Commissioner Garfield, Chief Everett, City Attorney Nguyen, Ms. Hill, and distinguished guests. My name is Louis Aldana, and I serve as the Acting Deputy Chief of Operations Valley Bureau. I'm here to provide an overview of an incident involving a fatality structure fire that occurred in the community of Studio City. On the morning of October 30th, 2025, at approximately 10:30 in the morning, LAFD Resources responded to a reported structure fire at the 11,000 block of Kling Street, cross street of Radford, in the Studio City part of the valley. Firefighters arrived on scene to find heavy smoke and fire showing from a first-floor unit of a 2-story garden-style apartment. The front door was open, allowing for rapid interior access of our firefighters. Crews were able to achieve a knockdown within approximately 21 minutes of arrival and immediately commenced a search for occupants. Unfortunately, during the search, the firefighters located one adult that was deceased beyond medical help. This person lived alone and was pronounced dead on scene. Heavy smoke conditions also affected the second-floor unit that displaced one resident for one night. The property management was able to accommodate that person. Responding resources from the LAFD were Assistant Chief 4, LAPD, Arson Counterterrorism, our LAFD PIO, SoCalGas DWP, and the LA County Coroner. Council District 2 was affected and was notified as well. A second notable incident in our bureau occurred just recently on November 1st, 2025 at approximately 11:10 p.m. at night. This was on the 10,900 block of Scoville Avenue, where LAFD Resources once again responded. While en route, they were getting additional information from our Metro Fire Communication of reports of indicating multiple elderly occupants that were possibly trapped inside. The first arriving resource observed a 1-story single-family dwelling with heavy smoke and fire showing. The initial size-up revealed that fire conditions that threatened an adjacent occupied structure. During the incident, 9 fire companies, 7 rescue ambulances, 2 battalion chiefs, and 1 assistant chief were brought to bear to handle the situation. Despite aggressive and coordinated firefighting and rescue efforts, 2 occupants succumbed to their injuries sustained prior to LAFD arrival. All other reported occupants were located, treated, and transported to area hospitals. Currently, our LAFD arson unit is conducting a cause and origin investigation. Our resources faced many challenges, a number of which was the unknown number of trapped occupants. So that led to extensive search and rescue operations, keeping us in a rescue profile, which increases the hazard to our firefighters. Additionally, the location was on the border of an LAFD jurisdiction. It was often a corner of the city, so all resources were responding from the same direction. That led to some delayed times getting additional resources on scene. The structure was initially reported as a 1,000-square-foot single-family dwelling. It was later determined to be a board and care facility housing 8 individuals, with an adjacent ADU contain an additional 15 to 18 occupants. So you can imagine the level of risk that our members have to encumber to make sure that we do the best we can for our citizens. Additional challenges were solar panels on the roof, a leaking oxygen cylinder that contributed to rapid fire growth. We were able to initiate not only a fire attack, but we developed a medical component, a medical group, so that we could assess, account for, treat, and transport all of our patients. The successes of our people: we had clear, concise radio communications. We had excellent coordination between fire attack and ventilation companies. Because of that, all occupants were located, accounted for, rapidly treated, and transported to the appropriate facility. The fire was contained to the structure of origin. And that's what we had going on in the valley. Any questions?
Any questions, commissioners? All right. Thank you, Chief Aldana.
Thank you very much.
Next, we will hear about medical emergencies from Chief Werfel.
Good morning, Vice President DeLugich, Commissioners, Chief Everett, Deputy City Attorney Wynn, Ms. Hill, Command Staff, and guests. My name is Tim Werfel. I'm the Deputy Chief of the Emergency Medical Services Bureau. And normally I report on significant incidents, but today I would like to use this time to share a different success. The LAFD EMS Bureau hosts the LA County Department of Health Services Emergency Medical Services Agency, I know that's a lot, for our annual paramedic program review. This is an annual audit of the program required in order to be licensed to deliver advanced life support to the citizens of Los Angeles. Each year, a team from the Emergency Medical Services Agency inspects equipment, apparatus, and our records for the program. This audit covered the period from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. The first part of the audit included inspecting our air operations, air ambulance program at Van Nuys Airport. This was held on September 29th. We are happy to report back that they passed with flying colors. No pun intended, sorry. On October 30th, the 5-person review team met at Frank Hodgkins Memorial Training Center to personally inspect 3 paramedic ambulances, Rescue 211, Rescue 82, and Rescue 56, 2 assessment fire engines, Engine 82 and Engine 56, and 1 EMS captain sedan, which was EMS 5. The review team scrutinizes every piece of equipment and every medication that's on the apparatus to ensure compliance with standards and make sure that nothing's expired. They are the agency that dictates what and how many of each pieces of equipment and medication that we're required to carry on the ambulances and the other pieces of equipment. The team also reviewed our EMS training unit, our quality improvement unit, and our dispatch quality improvement unit. They review all of our training records, our narcotics logs, and our policies. The preparation for the audit takes our team months. It's truly a big deal. And we're happy to report the LAFD passed this portion of the audit with very positive feedback. This is the first time that we can remember, that any of us could remember, that there were no action items from the agency, so nothing that we needed to report back on or fix. So it's a tremendous effort, and we're extremely proud of our team, and especially Mike Campana's, Captain Mike Campana's Quality Improvement Unit. They prepared extensively for this audit, and we're really proud of them. So thank you very much. This concludes my report if there's any questions.
Thank you. You should be proud, and we're proud too.
Yeah.
Any comments, commissioners, or questions?
No, just congratulations on the good work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. All right, moving on to the consent agenda items. Board Report 25-063 is a report providing summary of corrective disciplinary actions for the fourth and third quarter of 2024 and quarters 1 through 3 of 2025.
I'd like to pull that one for discussion.
Okay, that is off consent. We'll get to that later. Okay. Item 25-064, report providing projected and actual employee exits through the DROP program over a 5-year period. Would anyone like to take that off the consent calendar? Would anyone like to?
Motion to receive and file?
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to receive and file this board report. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, on to Report 25-065 regarding the agreement with Elevate Fitness Solutions for certified athletic trainer services for a 3-year term and a maximum contract amount of $586,000.92. Does anyone have any questions or comments on that item?
I know I was here when we approved it 3 years ago, so it's interesting that it's coming back up. It seems like we just did it. I know one of the reasons of having that was, to get our firefighters and more attention on how do we feel about, obviously, we're renewing it. Is that enough? Is it, where are we with it?
I think that'll get us to a level playing field for now, but is it enough? It's obviously, for the sake of our firefighters, we always want more, but we're satisfied with what we're asking for right now.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Commissioner, would you be interested in a report later about how it's going, or?
No, I feel pretty confident in what it's been. I remember ideally, of course, there's, based on the number of firefighters and the level of care, of course, we would love more, but I understand in this budgetary crisis, we probably can't get more there. There's other priorities, but at least there's some attention there for our men and women in the field.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Woods Gray?
Madam President, is a motion in order at this time?
Yes, a motion's in order.
Okay. I move that we receive and file, no, it's not, that the board approve the report and adopt the recommendations therein for BFC 25-064.
Second.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's wrong. BFC 25-065.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Right, that passes. And our final consent item is a report to procure, item 25-066, report to procure authority to continue to expend FEMA Urban Search and Rescue Task Force Cooperative Agreement grant funds. Any questions or comments on that one, commissioners?
I know that, we had talked about, I met with the group at one point to be able to move things more quickly through, and this was going to be a charter. No, I don't know if this one falls under it. It looks like that the recommendation is that we approve and transmit it to the mayor and then authorize the controller and go through all those parameters as well. So as long as it's moving as fast as it's possible to do within the city, that sounds like what's happening. Otherwise, it's unfortunate that we can't go directly on these kind of things, but of course.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy and unfortunate.
Yep, but motion to approve and transmit the report.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the report and adopt the recommendations on Board Report 25-066. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. So, City Attorney Nguyen, how does this, do we now go back to the first item? Okay. All right, so let us hear 25063 about corrective disciplinary actions for the fourth and third quarter of 2024 and the first through third quarter of 2025. Take it away. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good
Morning,
morning.
Commissioners. Chief Everett, Assistant Chief Eric Talamontes, Commander of the Professional Standards Division. Before you, you have the corrective action summary for quarters 3 and 4 of 2024 and quarters 1 through 3 of 2025, and I'm here to answer any questions.
I did have a few questions. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for bringing this report back, because it had kind of fallen off of the radar for a while. Let's see, I had several things I was concerned about. One is, when there's an infraction, I see what the final outcome is, and for some, the days, calendar days were put down, and for some, we have
Working days.
other things listed in that last column, seniority dates and things like that. I was wondering if we could have a column added so that you have all of them for everybody, like the seniority and the final outcome, if it shows the days or whatever the correction was,
Okay.
instead of just, because it's kind of mixed up in that column with different things.
Of course.
But I had a concern about the education. I don't know if there's an education or re-education for some of the infractions, because many of them had to do with medical procedures. So I wanted to know, do they get retrained or on whatever they didn't do correctly, or what is that process as far as helping them to do it correctly the next time?
Right. So most of the medical infractions, before they go through the investigative process, once we've identified issues or concerns, those members are given training, just training regarding policies in general that might be somewhat related to them while the investigation is going on. That way, we identify any potential training issues early on, and then we let the investigation take its pace. The EMS Bureau is responsible for the training. We just kind of provide them some information or guidance as to what types of topics to cover.
I see. Okay, good. I think that's an important part of the process, the education, re-education. Again, I always have this concern about this. It sounds like it's the same infraction, but the penalty is oftentimes different. Perhaps I could just meet with you and we could discuss that more in details, because I am concerned about the fact that if it's, sometimes there's a reprimand, and I understand if it's like the second time they had days off, but then, and also for the people who are driving under the influence, are they also offered or given some kind of a program to go through before they are returned to work? Or
So not necessarily. So within our purview at PSD, we only have certain things that we're allowed to do within the bounds of the charter as far as what we can issue. Training, obviously, is something that the department in general can do, but as far as discipline is concerned, we're kind of bound by the charter. So UFLAC has a pretty resilient program over there with their EAP, their Employee Assistance Program. So oftentimes, the union will take it upon themselves to engage with the member that is having whatever issues, such as a DUI or whatever. It's not something that the department does. It's not something we're privy to as far as the information there, but we are aware that it does happen. They're pretty proactive on taking care of their members over there. We have the behavioral health side over here at the department. It's not so much focused on it's all encompassing, but we often don't have the ability to, or I guess the direct link with the member as the union does. They're more comfortable going to the union than the department, let me say it that way. So as far as what you're seeing here on the report, we have to kind of make it really generic to respect the privacy of each individual. So what you're seeing here is and I understand your concern, and if any of you commissioners want to come over to PSD and visit, we can kind of show you the process and how we do things, you're more than welcome anytime. But as far as the report goes, what you're seeing here are penalty guidelines that we have. They're very generic. Every case is unique, has its own unique set of circumstances, and depending on whether it's a first offense, second offense, if there's mitigating or aggravating circumstances in the investigation that we uncover, that always will adjust the final penalty within the guideline. And so that's why they're all different, even though the guideline you see is very generic and oftentimes appears the same. The circumstances in each case are very unique.
And this probably is a question that's not for you, but when an officer created the hostile work environment, he was released for so many days, but then does he return to that same site? What happens to that person? who follows him to see what else is going on with him?
Question.
I think just to piggyback on Chief Talmontes, it's all contingent upon the circumstances surrounding the case. And if it has circumstances that that employee needs to be moved to a different station, depending on what the infraction is, then that certainly is taken into consideration at a higher level.
So is that left up to the chief?
Essentially, yes.
Okay, so PSD just meets out the correction, and then the chief follows up with whatever else needs to be done? Is it required or just something they do because they investigated it and decided that was what they would do?
When it comes down to the safety or whatever the circumstances are, the chief does have a say in what is the outcome of that employee. And in a case maybe that you're speaking of where it's to the betterment of the station, and then there will be decisions made that potentially that person can be moved to a different station. Oftentimes, due to the circumstance, that person may go back to the same station. Again, it just depends on the circumstances of the case.
And let me just add to that. We get a number of allegations that come in all the time. A lot of them some of them are anonymous, some of them aren't, some of them are internal, some of them are external. So when we get these allegations in, we only have a very limited amount of information at that time. And every member is entitled to their own due process, and so oftentimes a thorough investigation takes a lot of time. But based on the allegation, the information, the limited information we have when they come in, command staff, the department's command staff, in consultation with myself, because I have that complaint, we will do a risk management assessment to determine whether or not somebody needs to be moved to mitigate risk based on what the allegation is, while the investigation unfolds. And that's ultimately up to the fire chief and his staff. But like I said, it's just an allegation at that point, but we do try to mitigate risk as much as possible based on the limited information that we have until their due process is played out.
Okay. Members, I just have one other question, and it's about the accusation that someone cheated on a time paper. I was looking for the exact words, but I can't find it right this minute. But they didn't turn in the correct reported amount for time, and they deliberately did that. Is that investigated beyond this department? Because that's actually like a criminal activity, isn't it?
So, yeah, so as PSD communicates with a couple different outside agencies, depending on what the circumstances of the case are. So something like you're talking about here, if it does actually look to us like it might be a crime, then yes, we would make a referral over to LAPD and see if they're interested in pursuing that.
But if you deliberately turned in the wrong time. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate the report.
I want to call on other commissioners, but I want to follow up on something
Yeah.
that Commissioner Woods Gray brought up, because I think it's very important to understand if a complaint has been sustained about creating a hostile work environment in a fire station, and they've either gotten actual time off or been reprimanded, I think it would be important to know, like, what is the follow-up with that individual? And I don't know if we can, I mean, that just seems, I mean, it can't be a ton of people, but I think we would like to know, like, what is the follow-up? I mean, it can't all just be like a feeling that the chief, I mean, it seems like there ought to be some criteria or steps, and we can wait until, I mean, I would like to know that. We can obviously wait until our new chief is in place, but I think that's a really important thing to find out. So thank you for raising that. And now I will call on other commissioners. Commissioner Babcock, did you have a? No, I'm good. Okay. Commissioner Garfield.
Yeah, I want to ask you, of these cases, and I think another thing that would be very helpful to see is how many of these things did you file on to go to hearing, and what was the outcome of those hearings? So when we get this report in the future, or maybe even if you could add a column for us and share that information with us now, I'd appreciate knowing. I think it'd be helpful for all of us to know what happened regarding that.
Of course.
Thank you.
And then my only question or comment, and I appreciate what you all have brought up, is you said that we're bound by the charter or under the confines of the charter. Are there things, understanding that a lot of the issues are bargainable, need to be bargained with our represented unions, Are there things that you think should be changed? This is the time, they're reopening the charter. Are there things that you would recommend be changed in the charter to be able to be more specific about the kinds of discipline or what you were referring to about the bounds of the charter? Not put you on the spot.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of like, we have made, I know the fire chief has polled most of the department on things, and I think you have a report coming up on that in one of your
Okay.
future meetings.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But just off the top of my head, I know the Board of Rights process is burdensome, and oftentimes, or most of the time, it ends up in arbitration anyways. So it seems like just a burdensome step in the process. I mean, a lot of the charter is very old as far as 1060 with our discipline. It's very old. It's been there for a very long time. I think it could use a fresh look to see if
Yeah.
there's better ways of doing it.
Okay, thank you. And again, I don't mean to put you on the spot, and I will wait for that report to come back. Any other questions, commissioners? All right, then I think a motion is in order to
Madam
this report.
Madam President, I move that we receive and file Board Report 25-063.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, now we're on to the regular agenda items, and we're first going to hear from our indomitable Emilio Rodriguez about the fire department's budget request. I know this is requested by a couple of commissioners to ask a few more questions before this gets finalized and sent. Well, I know it's already been sent to the mayor's office, but we can get a few more questions answered.
Yes, of course. Good morning. Commissioners, Vice
Morning.
President Delugic, fellow members and guests. Emilio Rodriguez, Fire Administrator. So during the last meeting on October 21st, we presented the department's preliminary proposed budget requests, which were subject to approval by the mayor's office through their short form review process. Again, this is a preliminary list, not the final list that will emanate as a mayor's recommendation to the council. On October 24th, the mayor's office gave approval for LAFD to proceed with all of its requests for submission in the final proposed budget. To recap, the department has 80 operational budget requests for a total staffing of 304 positions, combined with non-departmental requests, which include MECLA fleet replacement, facility repairs, and other capital needs. The proposed budget amounts to just under $200 million. And this $200 million excludes all the obligatories and continuation items that often result in a budget of close to $1 billion, as you've seen. So aligning with the mayor's budget priorities, our budget requests place emphasis on frontline resources. To name a few examples, restoration of the emergency incident technicians, putting some additional fast response vehicles, APRUs, and ambulances in the field, et cetera. Additionally, EMS support in the form of training dollars and funding for much-needed medical supplies. Special event support for the Olympics and other major events coming to LA. Wildfire mitigation and response, which was another significant mayoral priority. And finally, resources that enhance member wellness and safety and mitigate risk. Our budget team is working diligently with the bureaus in compiling the supporting data and justifications for the various requests. And the department welcomes the commission's input through this process as we prepare for a final submission that is due to the mayor and CO on November 21st. That concludes my report, and welcome any questions.
Thank you. Who would like to start with questions? Commissioner Garfield?
Sure. Thank you. Last time, at the last commission meeting, we talked about the relationship between the after-action report and the budget requests. And we were told that we would receive a report which clarified the connection between the two. And do we have that information now? Is that available so that we can really understand better? I mean, we have the budget, we have in the after-action report, we have the 42 items that are listed. And I know that had some discussion about that at our last meeting. But at least for me, it would be very helpful, I imagine, for the other commissioners to see the connection between the two and also the costs of those items.
Right, we don't have a full report on that yet. That's going to take some time to coordinate with our Bureau Command leads. But on a broader level, some of the budget requests that support the after-action requests, again, include adding some additional frontline resources in the field. There is funding to improve, to maintain and improve our technology capacities when it comes to voice radio command and other communications priorities. And there are additional dollars set aside to enhance our wildland risk mitigation capabilities, as I've mentioned earlier. And that, again, is through the addition of a third hand crew team of 26 members with the appropriate supervision and much of the equipment that is necessary for first response and redundancy in those areas. We have, I think, about $2 million just in hose equipment alone. So on a broad level, those are, I guess, some of the nexuses between the budget and the after action, but we're still in the process of reporting back with a more detailed report.
When will we be able to receive that report to actually understand the nexus between the after-action report and the budget request, and what's included, what has been left out, why has it been left out? Obviously, priorities is a big issue, and how much money is available, obviously, is the constant in all of this. But my understanding was at our last meeting when we discussed this, we were told that there were some items in the after-action report recommendations, I believe those are the ones with the circle with the black centers, that those had been completed, and there were others that had not been completed. And my understanding was that we were going to receive a updated report so we could actually track what in the after-action report has been completed, as well as what we need additional money to complete. So obviously, that would be part of the budget. So if you could clarify that for us, we'd appreciate it.
I think the chief would like to.
Yeah, Commissioner,
respond.
that's on the command staff, and we're certainly working on that. We'll have that report for you, and we'll include a date when we'll have that for you. So absolutely, we'll grant your wishes on that, and it's important.
Okay, that would be wonderful. There's another report on our agenda, and it relates, I think, very directly to the budget. So I hope it's okay if we kind of take this out of order. It's the last item, the LFD.
Is that okay, City Attorney?
Yeah, are there any other questions about this report? You can just move on to the next item.
Well, no, I think, we could do that, but this is really this is really a question of the budget and how much money we're spending, and the interconnection between the budget and the after-action report. So that's the reason I raise it now, if that's all right.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I found this report really interesting and very detailed and well-written, and so I want to thank whichever people were responsible for putting this together. Pardon me?
Which one are you referring to?
This is 25061.
Which we're going to get to in a second.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and the reason,
Supplies.
but one of the things that was confusing about it to me, and perhaps I'm a novice here, and so I'm just learning every day, and this is only my third meeting, but I was confused when the report says that we're going to be bringing in additional staffing, which is great and obviously badly needed, but that there was not going to be any impact on the budget. And so I was wondering, and that's the reason why I'm asking. We'll go into this report in more detail for our next item, but I just was curious if you could sort of shed light on that for us so that we understand why hiring additional staff is not going to impact the budget, or if maybe I read the report incorrectly.
Again, I'm not fully versed on the content of that report, but generally speaking, if there's staffing behind a grant that is being funded from the grant, then that would be approved as part of the FEMA grant implementation. So for statements suggesting there is no general fund impact would suggest the grant itself is paying for salaries and some of the indirect costs, whether it be partial or fully reimbursing those.
Okay, so we can, well, I know we're going to go into the details of that next, but I guess the reason why I'm bringing it up now is my question is, the proposal is to hire a certain number of additional staff members. And I'm sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head exactly how many that was. It was about 16, 12 or 16, somehow sticking in my mind. But I know that one of the very big issues in the after action report, and one of the big issues, obviously, that has been being discussed, certainly in the press, is that we did not have sufficient equipment to combat the difficulties of the Palisades fire. Whether or not that's true or not, I mean, that's obviously, you guys are the authorities on that, but it's just something that obviously the press has been talking about excessively. And so my question is, if assuming that is true, and again, we can talk about that, then why is it that we're limiting ourselves to, I think, the hiring of, I'm sorry, I wish I could tell you that, does anyone know the numbers at 12, somehow 12 or 16 is sticking in my head. And,
I think when we get to these details, let's wait till we get to that report.
okay, and, hi. And we can wait for that, but I guess what I just want to do is, I think all of these things are interrelated, and although obviously we set up different items and we have to have different items on our agenda as we go through them, but what would be really helpful, because the first thing that I looked at here is, well, why, if in fact we're not having to pay additional money because we have the grants, that's fabulous, but then is that something to include additional staff? Are we including that as part of our budget? That's a connection to the budget. So I'm sorry, I maybe wasn't clear on what my question was before.
Right, when you're adding additional direct frontline staff to the budget, assuming it's funded from the grant support, there's the indirect support you have to consider from all of the other personnel that supports those resources on the field, whether it be command staff, which is departmental admin support, or all the rest of the city's civilian staff that supports those functions. So those costs are captured, again, in the related costs that are reported as costs against the grant, and so they're captured to some extent through the reimbursements. The front funding that's provided through our direct budget resources and eventually reimbursed through the FEMA grants. So it's a whole subset of resources that are captured as part of the grant's indirect costs.
Okay, so let me just sort of ask you my bottom line question then, and then I will stop talking, because I'm sorry to take up so much time, and maybe I haven't been as clear as I should have been. But since is in the budget, the proposed budget, are we considering adding additional staff members in order to repair our equipment and keep it active?
If we're talking just equipment in general, we do have supply and maintenance positions that were restored and will be continued into next year as a continuing resolution authorities. But that's mainly for the apparatus support. Mm-hmm. If it's equipment apart from engines and ambulances, et cetera, we don't have positions per se, but I think a lot of that equipment comes with support from the manufacturers through certain lifespan.
I think one of the things, I'm just looking here, it's on page 7, and it just talks about the fact that although it's great that we're going to have additional positions added, it's nowhere near what we need, and I think it refers back to the levels from the 1995, and so that was what my concern is. My main issue is not what what the next report is going to discuss, but it helped to educate me on some of these issues, and I appreciate that very much. And since we're talking about the budget, I wanted to make sure that as we're talking about the budget and considering the budget, that we understand that the levels that we're going to be reaching, even with this, is still much less than what we need. And so the question is, are we making this are we making additional positions part of our budget proposal for this year? That's sort of my bottom line question, sorry.
Good morning, Commissioner. My name is Peter Schau. I'm the Assistant Chief in charge of supply and maintenance. I can perhaps address that question.
Thank you.
So for next fiscal year, for this fiscal year, we have 4 resolution positions that are being hired for. We have 16 additional positions that were restored. And then we have 1 additional position on top of that, a general automotive supervisor, that was added in addition.
Okay.
So to somewhat answer your question with a little bit of background, back in 2009, we had what was called the ERIP program, which was an early retirement incentive program. And then in 2020, we had the SIP program, which is a separation incentive program. Both of these programs, essentially what they did was they reduced the city's financial obligations by offering early retirement to folks and then subsequently removing those positions. That's how we ended up with the deficit. The challenge that we have with that is the fact that those employees that were targeted tend to be senior employees, lots of time on, lots of high skill level, and often far more productive than our younger employees. So that put us at a deficit. So starting from 2009 on, and then 2020, we created an even larger deficit. Now going back into this year, we were very lucky to have received the 16 additional positions that restored us back to our full staffing, which is, when I say full staffing, I mean all of our bays are filled, all of our mechanics work areas are completely filled. And then we added a general automotive supervisor as an additional level. Now moving forward, some of the issues that we have, and to address your question with regards to adding more mechanics, is I physically can't. I have no more space for more mechanics. So, and I can delve a little bit more into the report if you like.
No, let's do that in a minute.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Chief Schau. And I'm going to move us along because we're talking about the next report kind of piecemeal. So you can continue. Mr. Rodriguez is not going anywhere. So let's see if any other commissioners have any questions on the budget items.
I did have just one question that I have an interest, because of the Lockman fire, and the reason that was explained, which may not be valid, but that's what I heard, is that they didn't have the equipment to determine that the fire had actually gone out, the depth to which it was still burning. Is that equipment in the budget? An upgrade on that equipment, or does it come from our budget, FEMA budget, or the state's wildland fire budget?
I don't know what specifically the press attention to that matter was referring to, but what I can tell you that's in the budget is a significant funding for hose replacements and hose redundancies, specifically for, to support wildland areas. We have an ongoing budget for a lot of the equipment that, a lot of the hardware that accompanies the hose equipment, and again, staffing to make sure that first response to those incidents is enhanced with the third hand crew team. And that's another 26 members. And there's already a recruitment process was expedited for the last team over the past year, so there's already established position descriptions, et cetera, for those positions to be immediately employed and deployed upon, the hiring approvals.
I see, okay. Maybe the chief could direct me to somebody who could help me with that answer and help me to know the correct name of that piece of equipment that goes beyond. Maybe you could direct me to somebody who could talk with me about that.
We can have a further discussion on that.
Because I understand what you're saying, but hoses and ladders is not going to do it. Thank you very much, though, for your report.
Any other comments? I just want to say one little comment, and that is I'm really glad there's attention to the EMS and paramedic programs. And I just challenge us to, I know we need to increase the pipeline for paramedics, and I've got some ideas they will be talking to Chief Werfel about, but we just have to come up with an alternative to this, sending everybody to UCLA and hiring behind them. That just seems like the most expensive way possible to have paramedics. I'm interested in the magnet program, a cadet program, possibly a paramedic class. So I'm just sort of putting that on the record. And we're going to get to the SHOPS report in a second, but and I don't think we have to, this is just a, do we take any action on this?
No report, there's no action.
Okay.
We
So-
just can move on if we're ready.
I think we're ready, and we're going to segue into the next report.
When do we get the final report?
The final report at this point is we're in the process of compiling the actual budget requests that'll form the department's entire budget, which again would be in the range of $1 billion between all resources, all of the operating budget costs and all of the non-departmental line items. So we'll be reporting back. I mean, it's due to the mayor's office on November 21st. We want to report back to the commission as soon as we can agendize a completed product.
So it'll be before November 21st.
We'll be submitting to the mayor's office on the 21st. Ideally, we want to report to the commission on the regularly scheduled agenda of the 18th, but given the lead time to submit reports to the commission, that's going to be quite difficult.
But don't we have to approve the final budget before it goes to the mayor?
I think we do. I mean, don't we, City Attorney?
I'm not clear on that. I can look that up for
Okay.
you.
Well, let's,
I mean, I think regardless of whether we have to, I think it would be very helpful if we could. And are you suggesting that we possibly set up a different commission meeting for a different date so that we'll have enough lead time if we have some feedback that we want to provide you and any changes need to be made to the proposed budget?
except that November 18th is our next meeting, and that's due on the 21st, so.
Well, I know, maybe I misunderstood, I'm sorry. I thought what you were saying that because there's so little time between the 18th and the 21st, that it's going to be difficult to make any changes if in fact something arises at the commission meeting. So what I'm
Right.
wondering is, would it be helpful to you, and I don't know if it's possible, but if we could do it, if we set up a meeting earlier than that, so that would give you additional lead time if any kind of changes need to be made to the mayor's, the proposal to the mayor?
Well, I think just given the volume of information and the fact that we're preparing over 80 budget requests for just the new requests alone, that's going to be quite difficult to compile a complete budget over next week for all practical intents.
I have an idea.
What we can do is report after submission to the mayor for any additional review and input the commission would like to put into the budget, and we can convey those recommendations to the mayor's office. So there's still opportunity for a change at that point.
I think that if we have a special meeting, I don't think we have the same number, we can get the information later.
Yes.
Is that true? So we could maybe call a special meeting at the end of our regularly scheduled November 18th meeting, so it'll give you more time to prepare the documents, and we'll require less time for noticing them. But why don't we talk about this, why don't we figure this out with the city attorney's office? Yeah, okay.
I think I hear Mr. Rodriguez saying that he has so much work to do that he may not be prepared to do it by the 18th. Is that what you're saying?
That's what it would essentially amount to at this point.
Yes, and so,
But it's
and there's
only
a couple
3
of days later, but my concern is that I think the responsibility for the commission, according to the charter, is that we approve the budget. So I'm trying to figure out how we do this, and so maybe that's where the city attorney needs to look into the legalities of what do we do with this process.
Let me look into it, and I can get back to the president and/or vice president about that.
And again, what's happened in the past, we've submitted the proposed budget by the mayor's deadline, and this is really to give the mayor and the CO time to begin digesting the budget requests from the various departments for scoping purposes, mainly financial impact. But the report itself will be presented to the commission in the early part of December for any additional input or changes the commission would like to recommend at that point. And if there are changes, we would, go back to the mayor and CO and communicate those changes.
Okay, but I think what we're making clear is we don't want to rubber stamp the budget. We want to be active participants in the budget, and we can figure out how best to make that happen.
Of course,
Making
yeah.
the mayor's deadline, plus if there's a chance for another bite at the apple after November 21st. All right, but don't go away, Mr. Rodriguez. I mean, you may sit down, but don't go away.
Commissioners, I'm sorry, I just wanted to add a quick input on that, and just something for you guys to think about. If you guys are planning to have a meeting, I believe on the 18th, correct? He would have to have the report to our office by next week.
But if it's a special meeting, doesn't
Yes,
the,
but he would still have to get it to us by next week, sometime next week. So that also puts more strain on the report processing.
But if I think what you're telling us is that we can come back, it's not like you have to submit your budget proposal to the mayor on a certain date. What was that, the 21st? Okay.
21st?
And, but you can then come to us afterwards, and we can make suggested revisions, and we can discuss those revisions, if there are any. And then you can go back, the department, I say you, but the department can go back to the mayor and with those revisions, and they will be considered just the same as if they had been in the report that you're submitting earlier.
Right,
Is
and
that correct?
that's in reality how it's worked
Okay.
over the
Well, that
past few
sounds
years.
great. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like perfect. So so the question is, though, I assume what we're talking about then is that we would have another meeting, whether it's our next regular meeting after the 18th, or we set an earlier meeting. And the question then is, I assume if there's another meeting, the documentation that's being used could be noticed, could be provided to the commission in order to prepare that for that other meeting. So it'd be a separate meeting. So does that work?
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to have it on the 18th, then I don't think a special meeting is needed unless you're trying to plan it later in the day. That's just
Right.
what I'm thinking, but if you're having it either after the 18th or before the 18th, then yes, then his office would have to prepare that report immediately, because then there's a process that, it goes through, and it has to get to Betty, and then she does what she has to do, and it has to get to me.
and what's the date of the first meeting in December?
The 2nd.
Okay, so that's very soon after. So that seems like that should work to be able to review what you've submitted to the mayor's office, and we can offer any additional comments or suggestions, and we can also be working with the mayor's office to make sure that we're able to make those revisions. So
I think that sounds perfect. If you think you're
Yeah,
going to be ready to do it on that date, then that just solves all the problems, I think.
And that's been past practice, and
Okay,
a recommendation within our staff report to the board provides that flexibility.
okay, great. Thank you so much for that clarification.
From my remembrance, in the past, we've always approved the budget before it went to the mayor's office. So that's why I was concerned, because that is a part of the charter, and that's the one function of this commission. Of course, there's a lot that I could say about that, too, but we do usually approve it.
I think
Although it gets changed 100 times after it leaves us.
But I believe because the mayor's office is requesting information sooner to be able to make changes later, then I think that's why we're in this. We're not
So this is an
requiring-
earlier date that they're requesting the budget?
No,
Mayor's
it's
office?
typically the week before the Thanksgiving break.
Oh, okay.
And again, it's the mayor's office reviewing 43-plus department submissions, so they need all the time possible on their end to begin scoping requests, determining the discretionary and non-discretionary costs, and how that measures up against revenue projections. So it's a very complicated process that needs as much time as possible. So they start reviewing those things
Since
right
we
on
have
November
40-some
22nd.
budgets to review, if one is later than the 21st, they're not going to get to all of them at the 21st, the 22nd anyway.
Right, for every budget that's late, it just kind of hampers
All right.
CEO and mayor's office ability to do a full review.
I'm going to just move us along, and just to recap, you're going to submit what you need to submit to the mayor's office by the deadline of November 21st, and we're going to review what you have submitted on at our meeting on December 2nd. And any changes or additions that we have before approving the final budget, you will transmit those ideas to the mayor's office?
Correct.
Okay,
So essentially, what we're moving forward now is the list from a last commission report.
okay.
It was approved as is.
All right, we don't have to take action on that, so we're all just going to thank you, and again, stick around because we might want to hear from you in the next report. Okay, thank you
Great.
so much, Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Rodriguez. I know you always do an excellent job. He does. He
appreciate it.
works really hard and does a great job putting things together.
Yes, he
for us.
does. Thank you. Okay. All right, now, we're moving on to Board Report 61, about the Los Angeles Fire Department's Supply and Maintenance Division. And we're hearing from Chief Shao, which, yeah, put your name on your great report. I was wondering, too, who wrote this report? Go ahead, Chief Shao.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chief Everett, Deputy City Attorney Nguyen, colleagues and guests. My name is Peter Shao. I'm Assistant Chief assigned to Supply and Maintenance. Here this morning to just give an overview, as requested, of the Supply and Maintenance Division, our functions, what we entail, the job we do, and our finances. So essentially, supply and maintenance is a logistics arm for the fire department. We supply any type of medical supplies, apparatus, tools, equipment, PPE, essentially anything that our department utilizes comes through S&M, whether we issue a PO for it, we actually design it, procure it, or build it ourselves. The way we achieve this is with a staff of over 140 members. Well, when we're full staffed, about 140 members. Within the fire department ranks, that includes anywhere between firefighters, apparatus operators, Captain 1, Captain 2, to a BC, and to an AC. The civilian classifications actually are very, very broad, from our administrative classifications to our warehousing, which would be storekeepers, warehouse 2-in-1 workers, delivery drivers, maintenance laborers, to our clerical staff, and finally to our actual maintenance folks, which is our equipment mechanics, heavy equipment mechanics, all the supervision lines above that, ERS and supervisor, senior supervisor, and then specialty type labor, such as welders, carpenters, tire repair, fabrication, and so forth. In total, we represent about 10, or we actually represent 10 different MOUs, 8 civilian MOUs and 2 sworn MOUs. So we do have a large variety of folks that are able to pull this together and make it work. We operate out of 4 different locations. Our primary location is the one located in downtown off of 19th Avenue, and that essentially services every type of vehicle that we have on this fleet, from your small generators all the way up to your larger ARF rigs, your airport rescue apparatus, to obviously engines, trucks, rescues, and command vehicles, and anything in between. It has full functional capability for fabrication, welding, tire changes. We have carpentry shops. We have our primary warehouse located there as well, and that's where we do all of our shipping and receiving. Our second larger facility would be in the Valley at Fire Station 88, and that is kind of an abbreviated view of what we have in downtown. It doesn't have the specialty resources like the carpenter, welder, and so forth, but it is capable of working on all of our heavy apparatus, all of our engines, trucks, rescues, and then a lot of our large earth-moving equipment like the Caterpillars, the D8s. And then we have 2 satellite locations, which are primarily focused on working on light vehicles and command vehicles. One is located in P2, down below us, and the second one's located at Frank Hodgkins. Frank Hodgkins mainly focuses on ambulances because of the larger bays. So, S&M's budget's rather large. We utilize about 58% of the city's of the department's actual operating budget. The large chunk of that would be in auto parts, medical supplies, PPE, uniforms, and then we do utilize about 80% of the civilian overtime account for our mechanics. And then we also oversee about $70 million worth of MICLA purchases each year, on average or so. Okay, and that MICLA account is utilized to purchase all of our capital improvements and our apparatus, ambulance trucks and so forth, and then any type of capital improvements to the facility, and some of which we are actually currently requesting. So some of the challenges that we face at S&M, because of the large size and the topics we had discussed earlier with the SIP and the ERIP, our staffing has become an issue. Staffing is obviously a necessary part of our ability to maintain our apparatus. So we're currently sitting about 12% below our optimum staffing or our maximum staffing. We are currently in the process of hiring 17 positions, which are 16 were restored positions. One was a additional position, which was a general, and then 4 resolution positions, so a total of 21 positions. With that hiring process, we go through city personnel, which is a very structured process. We are obligated to follow their policies and their procedures, make sure that they have lists in order for us to be able to move forward with those hires. And we anticipate each hire to take about 4 to 6 months. With this type of volume, it's probably going to be a little bit longer, as about 5 of those classifications don't currently have lists. We have requested city personnel to initiate the testing process. That will take some time. So, let's see. And then the other challenge that we have is on the other hand, it's going to be funding. We have multiple funding requests in place, both for the increasing cost in apparatus, and they've skyrocketed from about $780,000 for an engine about 8 years ago to almost $1.7 million now. Our trucks are started at about $1.4 million. I think the latest contract with KME cost us about $3.1 million. The build time on the apparatus, as detailed in my previous board report, the build time is anywhere between 3.5 years to 4 years. So that's somewhat of a challenge. And like Mr. Rodriguez detailed, in order to help our staffing, what we do is we purchase oftentimes a warranty for these vehicles that takes some of the burden off of the mechanics and allows them to keep ahead of repairing reserve vehicles. And then alluding to our previous discussion with regards to hiring the 17 positions and then potentially hiring more, the challenge that we have with that is physical floor space. So a mechanic usually has a very large toolbox. They take a whole bay to themselves and they work on a project. Oftentimes those projects are more than 1 or 2 days. So I can't necessarily drop an engine transmission out of an engine and then at the end of the day pop it back in and move it out somewhere. I literally have to utilize that bay. So we dedicate 1 bay per mechanic. So as it stands, we're with this full hiring, we'll be full up with all of our bays. We've explored alternative ideas to staffing, for instance, like doing a PM shift, an overnight shift. Fortunately, I have an incredible superintendent and I have incredible senior supervisors that have had a lot of experience in the private industry. And the one thing that they've actually told me was, look around and tell me how many 24-hour automotive shops you see. And you see none. And the reason for that is, and this is something as a lifelong firefighter, I didn't know, is the fact that the mechanics work well because they have support. They have mechanical helpers. They have stores that are open that have parts. They have ancillary support services, welders, machinists, fabricators, to support their efforts. So that's one of the reasons why, if we ended up doing a PM shift, the efficiency wouldn't be there. We'd probably lose about 40% efficiency. In addition to that, with the problem with the bays, moving vehicles in and out of the bays, it would become impractical. So if we're looking at about a 40% efficiency loss, what we do instead is we utilize overtime. And that allows that same mechanic to stay in that same bay and work on that same apparatus, and without that loss of efficiency in the transition. Now, the cost is roughly 10% different, but it allows us to work a little more effectively, particularly given the amount of floor space that we have. And I think that is, that's it for my report. Do you have any questions?
I'm sure we do. Why don't we start, any questions, Commissioner Babcock? Okay, take it away, Commissioner Garfield.
Sorry.
No, don't be, it's good. I've got questions too.
Thank you so much for going through that, and I realize maybe what we should have done on our agenda is had your report first and then moved into the budget one, but I apologize that I was jumping back and forth because I realize that that's confusing. As I said earlier, I think the report that was submitted to us was really excellent, and it was honest, and about the quandaries that you're being faced, the fact that we are so short-staffed, and one solution being the overtime, which I think definitely makes sense. I guess the question that I would have is, if we do look to overtime to at least assist us, how much are we going to be able to do, and how short will we still be in terms of people hours to get the work done that we need to get done?
As it stands, utilizing overtime, and I'll kind of back up a little bit. The way we utilize overtime is we hire willing mechanics back on their regular days off, which is through Monday through Friday, and then we'll hire back mechanics depending on what type of apparatus we're in need of repair on a Saturday. So as it stands, utilizing overtime and hiring for the Saturdays and the RDOs, our out-of-service rates are still hovering in about the mid-90s. What that means, what an out-of-service rate is of all of our reserve apparatus, which is our kind of our surge apparatus, or our apparatus that we use if something breaks down, we're utilizing about 90 to 95% of those on any given day. Now, we do have one more reserve behind that, which is already reserved, which are just engines that are parked exclusively, which are engines that are fully equipped and parked exclusively for a surging capacity. So we can still move into those if need be. And then if we were really short on apparatus, we can utilize perhaps going into the 200 series, the pumps, and then staffing those. So with the current overtime, we are at about mid-90s on our out-of-service on our out-of-service percentage. And that's, I believe, hiring most consistently almost every Saturday.
So will we need to supplement our budget request, unless it's already in there, to incorporate
It is.
using the overtime for the individuals who are working during the week, and then also the Saturday?
Yes, ma'am. That has been incorporated in the budget.
Oh, that has been incorporated in
Yes,
the
ma'am.
budget. Okay, wonderful. All right, thank you. Appreciate your report.
And I just wanted to wonder if, have we thought about any city unused property? I forgot the correct term. Especially because if we use it for mechanics, then it doesn't have to be, like, we have some brown, some toxic sites in the city, I'm sure, that you can't use for other things, but we could use for, what are they called? Like brownfields, Anyway, I'm just wondering if we could, utilize those spaces for additional bays to expand our footprint for repairing apparatus. Has anyone thought about that?
We're working with the grant section right now to put together, I believe it's a bond, and we're attempting to locate larger space
Okay.
with more bays. There are some challenges with that. As you know, in California, it's very difficult to open automotive repair centers,
Yeah.
particularly anything with painting well, essentially, it's painting and bodywork. And so we're working closely with them. In the meantime, and that process, will take probably several years if it does pass.
Right.
So in the meantime, we feel that this is probably the most viable option while we kind of reconfigure perhaps our fleet to maybe lighter vehicles or less maintenance-intensive vehicles. So.
Okay, makes sense.
Yes, I do have one.
Go ahead.
Many of our mechanics often end up going to DWP. Have we ever thought of a incentive program to hold on to them?
That's actually something that's changed quite a bit.
Oh,
With
good.
their newest MOU, they've negotiated higher rates.
Oh.
So that's retained the mechanics. It has created other issues, but such as pay impaction between a subordinate and their supervisor and the pay differential. But we are actually retaining our mechanics very well now.
Very
So-
good. That's great. I'm glad to hear that.
Okay, thank you, Chief Shao. A motion is in order to approve this report and adopt recommendations that include, like always, supporting additional resources for shops.
Madam President, I move BFC 25-061, that the board approve the report and adopt the recommendations therein.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. The report, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor of adopting B 25-061? All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes. Before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I just want to say one thing that I should have said at the beginning, and I just want to a shout out to the command staff, the chief officers who are under so much pressure with all these, the reports, the investigations, the anonymous letters, the dubious press reporting. I just wanted to say we all really appreciate you and believe that everybody is doing the absolutely best job they can and are doing a great job. So I just wanted to say that before we close. And now I will ask
Madam
for.
President, may I
Yes.
just add one other thing that I forgot at the beginning? Mostly for the people who are listening on the telephone or whatever, but I want to remind everybody that today is Election Day. We have one item on the agenda that's extremely important. We need people to go out and vote. The polls are open until 8 p.m. tonight. You may vote at any polling center near you. If you're a firefighter and not near your home, you can vote at any polling center near you as long as it's in L.A. County, if you live in L.A. County. If you're outside of L.A. County, you're in trouble. But I just wanted to remind people that it is Election Day. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everybody.